From NJPBS Studios, this is NJ Spotlight News with Brianna Venozzi.
Hello and thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Brianna Venozzi. Tonight, a few stories we'll get into later in the broadcast. With the governor's race tightening, black male voters have emerged as a key bloc to win the election. So what are Democrats and Republicans doing to get their support? Then we get the latest on why certain hospitals have stopped gender-affirming care for patients under 19. And later we visit a newly opened high school in Newark, billing itself as a launch pad for future architects and engineers. But first, a few of today's top headlines. Fresh off a rebrand and takeover, Heights University Hospital in Jersey City says the system is on the brink of suspending non-essential services unless it receives what the CEO there calls substantial financial support from the state within the next 30 days. Hudson Regional Health, which took over the bankrupt CarePoint earlier this year, says despite a $300 million investment across its network, much of it at Heights, the hospital is still facing unsustainable losses of over $60 million annually. Now, as first reported by the Hudson County View, CEO Nizar Kifaya says without public funding, the board has authorized a system-wide restructuring that includes winding down services at Heights University Hospital. Union leaders say the move contradicts promises HRH made during the takeover, calling out a lack of transparency. They warn staff layoffs and reduced services could hit the community hard with no clear plan in place. The State Department of Health has not announced next steps. Also tonight, a street in Tenafly was officially renamed Edon Alexander Way this morning, honoring the borough native who survived nearly 600 days in captivity after being taken hostage by Hamas in the October 7th terror attack on Israel. The dedication at the municipal complex earlier today featured the Alexander family, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, and community leaders, where they unveiled the new street sign, calling it a lasting symbol of Edon's strength and the community's fight to bring him home. The 2022 graduate of Tenafly High School was just 19 years old when he was captured while serving in the Israeli army. His release this past May sparked an outpouring of support within the town and around the world. Edon today thanked the community for uniting behind him, while Congressman Gottheimer, who was heckled during his remarks about the war in Gaza, called for the remaining hostages to not be forgotten and returned home. And Assata Shakur, the convicted killer of a New Jersey state trooper and longtime fugitive, has died in Cuba at the age of 78, according to a statement from the Cuban government. Shakur, also known as Joanne Chesimard, was convicted in 1977 for the murder of Trooper Werner Forrester during a traffic stop in 1973. She escaped prison 2 years later and had been living in exile in Cuba ever since. Her death, though, is renewing controversy over her life and activism. Shakur was a member of the Black Liberation Army and was praised by some civil rights leaders and critics of police abuse. The Chicago Teachers Union posted a tribute to Shakur on social media, calling her a revolutionary fighter. That drew sharp criticism from Governor Murphy and other law enforcement leaders like Attorney General Matt Platkin, who say honoring someone convicted of killing a police officer is, quote, deeply inappropriate, and said her death doesn't bring justice. Coming up, will black voters show up for Democrats in the ever-tightening race for governor? More on what's at stake next.
Funding for NJ Spotlight News provided by the members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. And Orsted, committed to delivering clean, reliable, American-made energy.
Well, with the governor's race tightening, both parties are zeroing in on a critical question and a key voting bloc that could determine the election. Black voters, specifically black men, and whether they'll show up for Democrats at the polls like they used to. State data shows turnout was down in the last election and support for the Democratic Party slipped. At a recent town hall meant to mobilize voters, more seats were empty than full, a sign, some say, of growing apathy and frustration. As Democrats scramble to rebuild trust, many Republicans sense an opening. Our senior writer, Colleen O'Day, has been following the outreach efforts and what's at stake, and she joins me now. Colleen, great to see you. Great piece. Why specifically has turnout among this group become such a focal point of the governor's race?
So, there are fewer people who vote in the governor's race than vote in presidential races. Usually turnout's about 40%. We had about 2.65 million people voting 4 years ago. So there's not a lot of leeway. And last Thursday, we got a new poll out from Emerson College that showed the races essentially tied, 43-43. In those circumstances, you really can't lose a vote.
Yeah, that was a big deal because up until that point, most of the polls had showed Democrat Mikey Sherrill with an 8-ish, 9-point lead. But you went to this Black Men Vote town hall, really meant to sort of galvanize folks, but also talk about what they need to see from the parties. What did you hear from speakers and more importantly, from attendees?
What people were saying is that it can be a very hard group to reach. They were saying that a lot of Black people, Black men in particular, kind of feel like they've been left behind. They've been made many promises in the past, and things just have not been working out. These promises have not been fulfilled. They're still struggling to make ends meet, to feed their children, to just have a good life. So they feel like there's a lot that needs to be done, and there's no easy answer really in how to get people to come out. I did also speak after the event with Reverend Charles Boyer. He's the founder of the group Salvation and Social Justice. He's a very prominent Black clergyman, and he had some thoughts about why it may be even harder this year to get people out. Here's what he had to say.
I think Black clergy are in a lot of angst, I think, more than any other time about this governor's race. One, the looming shadow of what's happening in Washington, D.C., I think is most prevalent in most of our minds. The Trump cuts, the white nationalism coming out of D.C., those things are looming, and they are very much a factor in this New Jersey's governor's race. And then on top of that, we have one candidate that's a MAGA candidate, and then we have the other candidate who disappointed us severely with her yes vote on the Charlie Kirk resolution. So we're really conflicted.
So, Colleen, what we heard there, that's really interesting about the angst, but we know that both parties are making targeted outreach efforts. How are those being received? And did the Reverend comment on that at all?
So we do know that, usually, again, this is a place where Democrats are very strong. They'll be in places like Newark, Elizabeth, Patterson, places with high Black and Hispanic populations. Jack Ciattarelli has spoken to at least a couple of churches, Black clergy churches he was in Elizabeth, he was in Newark. He had a float in a parade in Patterson. He's making a huge outreach to these folks. We don't know exactly what's going to come of that, but there's no question that he's at least making the effort. We have heard from, we know that Mikey Sherrill's been in a lot of these places too, but we also have heard from some people saying they haven't seen her enough. Will she be out more? We're coming down to the wire.
That's an interesting note. There are places like Patterson that I have found very interesting where we saw, even during the primary, where the GOP votes were much higher than maybe some had predicted they would be. Did you get a sense from talking to folks at this town hall or voters in general about why people in those communities are starting to lean more toward Republican or why they're at least voting GOP?
So in at least some cases, what folks are telling me is that they're liking a little bit of the more conservative message on especially some social issues, school-related issues. This is kind of, a couple of people told me this is where my heart is, so why not give somebody else a try? We have had Democrats in control in New Jersey for 8 years, and that didn't work out so well for me. Maybe I'll do something different.
Lastly, if turnout remains low among Black voters, Latino voters, how could that change the outcome for each of these candidates, Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli?
I mean, I think a low turnout among people of color would definitely hurt Mikey Sherrill more than it would hurt Jack Ciattarelli. It's just been, a really important part of the Democrats' base. So if her campaign can't get these folks out to go and vote, I think she's going to have a hard time winning. And certainly if Jack Ciattarelli is able to mobilize many people of color, I think that definitely helps him, in November.
Yeah, and we know there's only a few weeks left, which is both an eternity and no time at all in a campaign. You can read Colleen's full story on this. It's excellent on our website, njspotlightnews.org, along with all of her reporting on the election up to this point and voter guides as well. Colleen O'Day, thanks so much.
Thank you, Bree.
Families of trans and non-binary youth in New Jersey say they're stunned as major hospitals in the state have stopped offering gender-affirming care to new patients under the age of 19. Those treatments are still legal here, but only protected by an executive order, not state law. And they're now under pressure from a federal order signed by President Trump, threatening to cut funding to hospitals that continue providing this care. Our senior correspondent, Brenda Flanagan, is with us now for the latest on what advocates are saying about access. Bren?
Hey, Brianna. So the political war has intensified over gender-affirming care for trans and non-binary kids under the age of 19 in New Jersey. We're talking about treatments like hormone therapy or medicine to block puberty and, very rarely, surgery. Families with children who depend on that care say they feel shocked after some healthcare providers announced gender-affirming treatments on hold for now due to threats from the Trump administration to cut off federal money. The president told a joint session of Congress back in March, quote, "We don't want wokeness."
I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth. And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body.
NJ Spotlight News confirmed RWJ Barnabas Health, our corporate underwriter, has stopped accepting new pediatric patients for gender-affirming care. And Virtua Medical Group no longer offers it to patients under 19, noting, "We recognize that this change in healthcare is disruptive for many youth and families. To this end, we continue to offer a full range of supportive services, such as mental health care." But for many parents of trans and non-binary kids, that's not enough.
There's fear in the community, and I think, at the heart of this is we're just parents who want what every parent wants, which is that their children are able to be themselves, to be confident, to be happy.
Jane Buchanan's a Maplewood mom whose teenage son started gender-affirming care 4 years ago. She says they felt secure in New Jersey, where her child received excellent support from healthcare providers.
It's just unimaginable that suddenly they wouldn't be available, and that that duty of care that those providers have towards us, that they would step away from it. And not stand up for us and our kids and their right to the health they deserve.
Buchanan's one of 540 parents of trans kids who reached out to provider Atlantic Health System in a July letter asking whether it planned to change its gender-affirming care policies. The letter also noted equal rights for trans youth are protected by New Jersey's Constitution, its law against discrimination, and by Governor Murphy's Executive Order 326. Advocates will lobby legislators to codify that executive order into state law.
I think it's really important to highlight that the times we're in are unprecedented, and coping is going to look different for every single family and trans person and youth involved. And while Garden State Equality has heard reports of families leaving the state for care, it's important to note that we are not done fighting, and there is a very important election coming up. Gender-affirming care is still legal in the state of New Jersey. Our Attorney General has joined a lawsuit pushing for human rights in this state. He's been a profound ally.
In fact, 7 families have sent a letter to Attorney General Matt Platkin asking him to intervene with Atlantic Health System and stating the number of providers of gender-affirming care for youth in New Jersey is rapidly shrinking. There are few viable options should Atlantic Health System cease to treat these vulnerable patients. We spoke to Sam Holovacs, who transitioned at age 20. He explained why puberty blockers, for example, are so important to younger teens.
This is going to be something that is incredibly helpful and can prevent a lot of the major surgeries from having to happen, a lot of the major internal changes from happening until someone figures themselves out a little bit more. And then they can get off puberty blockers, and it can either be reversible or they can start on hormone therapy. Having these things banned just completely takes away an incredible amount of autonomy that people deserve to have.
As a trans adult, Holovacs can access the hormone therapy he needs. The American Medical Association supports a careful approach and says medical interventions reserved for older adolescents and adults with treatment plans designed to maximize the time teens and their families have to make decisions about their transitions. It recommends waiting for surgery until at least age 18. Regardless, some parents who oppose gender-affirming therapy believe it could have lifelong, possibly irreversible effects on children who at such a young age aren't equipped to make such a significant decision. Jersey's home to a vigorous parental rights protest movement that's fought to bar transgender students from bathrooms, end the state's privacy protections for trans kids in schools, and keep LGBTQ literature off library shelves and out of curriculums. Partisan politics have drawn a sharp divide on the issue. And it's causing deep anxiety in the trans community. The Trevor Project reported 46% of trans and non-binary youth have considered suicide in the past year. But Jane Buchanan says her son's resilient. She asked him, "Are you afraid?"
He said, no, I don't, because I have you and our family, because I have you, and because I live in Maplewood, New Jersey. So for him, this state, this place, it means safety to him.
Now, we never did hear back from Atlantic Health System. We did ask for comment, or from Hackensack Meridian Health. The Attorney General's office referred us to his February statement promising to protect access to gender-affirming health care. Brianna.
All right, Brenda Flanagan reporting for us. Bren, thanks so much.
Thank you, Bree.
Support for the medical report is provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association.
In Newark, students are stepping into the city's newest high school and potentially their futures. The School of Architecture and Interior Design is now officially open, where they'll learn trades, earn certifications, and get college prep all under one roof. As Raven Santana reports, it's part of an effort to reimagine high school and connect young people to careers that could change their lives.
Teachers, students, and community leaders cut the ribbon on the city's newest high school, the Newark School of Architecture and Interior Design. This state-of-the-art campus is designed with the future in mind. Students here can choose between 2 pathways, one leading to careers in the building trades like plumbing, electrical work, and HVAC, the other a college-bound track in architecture and interior design.
Earning a real estate license, completing their licensure of the work that they're doing right now. The conversation that trade staff had with me about 4 or 5 years ago, saying to me, "Superintendent, we're aging. Who will take these jobs?" Ladies and gentlemen, the students of Newark School of Architecture and Interior Design will become the apprentices of our staff members.
I would be super ecstatic to see you guys in the community, in the city of Newark, in the buildings that are going up, you in those places with your hard hats on, building those buildings and saying you graduated from Newark School of Architecture and Design.
Students proudly gave me a tour showing off design labs, hands-on learning spaces, and collaborative work areas. Its latest high school in the city to open with a higher education partner, Pratt Institute. One of the world's top design colleges helped develop the school's curriculum.
There's been a full arrest and a full restraint system.
We have built pathways for young people to imagine and to achieve new futures. So this new school here extends that legacy. And now Newark students have a powerful entry point into architecture, design, and the building industries. Of course, one of my jobs is to recruit you all to Pratt Institute when you become an architect and interior designer.
The women-owned real estate firm Newmark Associates is also partnering with the school, helping students gain real-world experiences through internships.
My work at Newmark Associates is not solely about a livelihood. It's a statement that, in fact, all those who are underserved belong at the table. We belong on construction sites, we belong in boardrooms, we belong in negotiations, and in every conversation about the future of our cities and communities.
So this school is very unique because students learn a lot of skills in different trades and in architecture, for example. So plumbing, HVAC, electricity, and architecture, interior design, and then they get the real estate license. They take a course to get that license. So just that is unique, but it's a lot of hands-on. So this first year, they're taking survey of trades. It's a course that exposes them to all the trades, so they get a feel to then select their major. But not only that, they're exposed to architecture, safety, OSHA. They get certified in that as well. So it's unique.
And students I spoke with say they are already exposed to the fundamentals of architecture and interior design long before they ever walk across the graduation stage.
Architecture and interior design, the opportunities here are amazing. There's a lot of programs and stuff, and they have the architecture and interior design program here, which I'm currently taking right now, and it's incredible, and I'm just loving all the opportunities here that will help me with my future and get more invested in what I want to do in the future.
And this school is actually wonderful. At first I was like a little skeptical about coming to a new school, since I would be like the first ever class here, but it turns out it's actually amazing, and this is really what I want to do, because I really want to be a real estate and I want to be a doctor. So first I'm going to be like a real estate, since we're going to get our license and stuff, so I'm going to be able to sell houses and things.
With community backing and industry partners, officials here say this school is more than just a building. It's a blueprint for Newark's high school redesign plan that expands specialized programs to prepare students for jobs they're passionate about. Officials say they expect enrollment to grow to more than 900 students within 4 years. For NJ Spotlight News, I'm Raven Santana.
In our Spotlight on Business report, the deadline is looming to cash in on the federal tax credit for electric vehicles. The $7,500 incentive expires September 30th, and car dealerships across the state and nationally say shoppers have been rushing to buy an EV ahead of that deadline. Now, the change is part of the mega tax bill signed into law in July, which pushed up the original expiration date of the federal clean vehicle tax credit from 2032 to the end of this month. Some experts warn that without the financial incentive, sales could come grinding to a halt, since most EV buyers surveyed say it factored heavily in their decision. New Jersey recently hit a milestone, though, registering more than 250,000 electric vehicles, moving closer to Governor Murphy's goal of reaching 100% clean cars in the next 15 years.
Support for the Business Report is provided by the Newark Alliance presents the 2025 Halsey Fest, featuring the vibrancy of Newark's Arts and Education District and Halsey Street. Halsey, a neighborhood built on hustle and heart. The 2025 Halsey Fest schedule is available at halseynwk.com.
That's going to do it for us tonight. But a reminder, you can download our podcast wherever you listen and watch us anytime by subscribing to the NJ Spotlight News YouTube channel. Plus, you can always follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky to stay up to date on all the state's big headlines. And with Election Day just around the corner, check out our voter guide to get up to speed on the candidates and races on the ballot this year. Head to the NJ Decides 2025 tab on our homepage. I'm Brianna Vannozzi for the entire team at NJ Spotlight News. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
NJM Insurance Group, serving the insurance needs of residents and businesses for more than 100 years. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, and by the PSCG Foundation.
NJM Insurance Group has been serving New Jersey businesses for over a century. As part of the Garden State, we help companies keep their vehicles on the road, employees on the job, and projects on track. Working to protect employees from illness and injury, to keep goods and services moving across the state. We're proud to be part of New Jersey. NJM, we've got New Jersey covered.
Whatever your cancer journey, there's one place in New Jersey where our discoveries become your care. You'll have access to advanced treatments, including clinical trials, thanks to our renowned scientists and multidisciplinary teams at New Jersey's only NCI-designated comprehensive cancer center, the one world-class cancer program that's close to home. RWJ Barnabas Health and Rutgers Cancer Institute. Let's beat cancer together.
Ørsted believes that clean energy is more than just a power source. It's an opportunity to create stronger economies and communities. Together, the South Fork Wind and Sunrise Wind projects from Ørsted will provide American wind-powered energy for New Yorkers and support jobs, education, and the local supply chain. Ørsted, committed to a clean energy future for New York.